seated. At this time, please welcome Rick Miller, the Chair of the Portland State Board of Trustees.
Well, good morning. Can you hear me okay? All right. What a terrific day. Thanks for joining us. I want to begin by thanking the Mario Sandoval Quartet. Some beautiful music was being played this morning, so thank you for that. Please join me. Now, we'd like to honor the indigenous people whose traditional and ancestral homelands we stand on today. The Multnomah, the Cathlamet, the Clackamas, Tumwater, the Walla bands of the Chinook, the Tualatin Kalapuya, and other indigenous nations of the Columbia River. It's important to acknowledge the ancestors of this place and to recognize that we're here today because of the sacrifices forced upon them. We honor their legacy, their lives, and their descendants. Performing an honor song are members of the group, the Bulls and Bears. James Smith, Dustin Harmon, Frankie Michelle, and Jeremy Russell. Please stand for the honor song. Bulls and Bears, that was an excellent performance. You can all be seated. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees here at Portland State, I want to welcome everyone this morning. Today, we're obviously here for the inauguration and investiture of Dr. Rahmat Shoureshi as our 9th president of Portland State. As many of you know, Dr. Shoureshi began his presidency last summer, so it's about time we made this official, don't you think, Rahmat? Today's a celebration of both Dr. Shoureshi and for Portland State. It's about celebrating all that we are today and what we are about to achieve together under Dr. Shoureshi's leadership. The most important decision that a Board of Trustees makes is hiring the university president. And Rahmat, we got this one right. We knew we wanted someone who could lead us into the future and take us to the next level. Someone who could put us on a different course, a more sustainable and competitive course. You know, commitment to quality and excellence is simply a choice, and we made that choice when we hired Dr. Shoureshi. I've had the opportunity to get to know Rahmat now over the last 6 or 7 months intimately. And if you know him like I know him, you know he's brilliant. He has impeccable values. He's kind. He's an excellent listener. I'll tell you, he's passionate about this university and our community. And he's a role model, husband, father, and friend. We're lucky to have him. Dr. Shoureshi is going to speak later in the program about his vision for us at Portland State. But before he speaks, we're going to hear from a few folks, some representatives of the faculty, staff and students, a friend and former collaborator of Rahmat's, and from Rahmat's first graduate student from the days when he was an engineering professor at Purdue University. First, let me introduce my friend and my colleague and the Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees, Gail Castillo, who, by the way, did tremendous work in heading the search committee, co-chairing the search committee that selected Dr. Shoureshi. Gail?
I'm tall, but I'm not that tall. Thank you, Rick. Good morning to all of you, and it's my pleasure to be here, and this is a very, very joyous occasion. As was stated, my name is Gail Castillo. I'm the Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees. I was the Chair of the Presidential Search Committee. And the Search Committee recommended to the full Board of Trustees the finalists that could help us increase our standing nationally and internationally, that could also help us increase our resources for students, faculty, and staff. I am pleased today that we are celebrating the inauguration of our new president, Dr. Rahmat Shoureshi. Dr. Shoureshi, an expert in robotics, is an outstanding academic. In addition, he personifies PSU in so many ways. He's an immigrant. He is the first generation graduate from both high school and college. He understands, as a result of his own experiences, the many struggles that our students face. He brings an international perspective. He brings new ideas. He brings new energy to engage with the business leaders, many of whom either graduated from PSU or have many employees that are PSU graduates. All of this is good news for PSU. PSU has many, many accomplishments, and we've been recognized nationally for our innovation. At the same time, we have many challenges. Many of the challenges are similar to the challenges that many colleges and universities face across our nation, such as rising tuition, limited resources, and the financial challenges that our own students face, such as housing. Dr. Shoureshi will work with the Board of Trustees and the PSU community to continue to increase the excellence of our academic programs for our students. He will continue to support our outstanding faculty and our staff for their work. And he will continue to work toward access and affordability. It is with great pleasure that I congratulate, easy for me to say, I congratulate Dr. Shoureshi, and I look forward to working with him towards our mutual goals. Congratulations.
Hello. I was asking, who's next? Me. My name is Michael Clark. I'm a professor of English here at Portland State. And I've been privileged this year to serve as the presiding officer of PSU's Faculty Senate. I want to take 1 minute to explain that job. PSU is a university with a deeply established culture of shared governance, where all faculty work together with administrators, including, like Professor Shoureshi, with our Board of Trustees, with academic professionals, and with our students to sustain the highest ideals of education and thinking, including commitments, and this may sound corny, to truth, to integrity, to community, and most of all, to our students. I've been honored to serve with deeply passionate faculty members this year, including Professor of History Tom Luckett, who carried the flag in. He's somewhere behind me. Brad Hansen from the music department, former presiding officer and a great jazz pianist. And especially a note out to Richard Byler, who seems daily to remind us in Senate meetings that the word liberal in liberal education has its roots in the Latin liber, which means to make or set free. That's what education does, it frees. Sometimes it's hard, but it's worth it. We've all had the honor of working with Rahmat for the past year, 8 months or so. I'll mention 4 things that I've learned with him, through him, about him this year, and there are more. First, he's absolutely passionate about higher education in general. Second, he's absolutely passionate to public education. Third, he has a quick and even searing intelligence. He gets to the heart of things very quickly. And finally, his wit. Rahmat knows how to laugh. And we've had some good laughs in his office, even when we want to cry. Something that's very important these days is the ability to laugh. There's a joyfulness dwelling in our new president, and even in tough moments, I think he can step back with bemusement. It's a pleasant virtue. Okay, so what are we doing here today? It's an inauguration, in case you didn't know. I'll just remind you. And Rahmat and I would joke, he says he's a geek, I'm a word geek, English professor. Inaugurare is the Latin root of inauguration, which has come to mean installation or consecration. We're all familiar with that. We formally recognize someone's ascension to a particular duty or post when we inaugurate that person. It's also associated with the more mundane beginnings, like I've inaugurated a new diet this week. One of the hardest inaugurations, I would imagine. But the earliest meaning of inauguration, again from Latin, is closer to the phrase installation under good omens. Indeed, ancient soothsayers would read the flights of birds in order to perceive good omens, in order to act as augurs in inauguration, in order to predict a promising future. Last night when we began this 2-day celebration, I heard Rahmat say, as he often does, quote, "Someone out there is looking out for me," end quote. It's a phrase of great humility, but it also promises that our omens will be good ones. American essayist Ralph Waldo Emerson once said simply, "The secret in education lies in respecting the student." President Shoureshi is one of those persons who respects the student. So we come back to our fundamental charge. Our students are what matter, not only in the classroom, but to the larger communities we live in, the neighborhoods, the towns, the cities, the states, and the world we inhabit. An educated populace is the best populace, period. We must redouble our commitment to courageous insight, unyielding critical engagement. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it even hurts a bit, all turning back once again to those commitments to integrity, truth, community, and hopefully the acquisition of wisdom. Not fashion, but wisdom. I know from my year working with him that President Shoureshi, who still prefers professor because he reminds us constantly that he's a faculty member, which we greatly appreciate, is committed to all these principles. And so, remembering our soothsayers looking to the birds, I ask as we look upward today, as we all should, into Oregon's beautiful and rich fabric of sky, to look for the auguries of this important day. I'm sure they will hold good things. I close with a comment from Joseph Addison, English essayist and poet. What sculpture is to a block of marble, education is to a human soul. So, let's get out the chisels and start working. Welcome, President Shoureshi.
Good morning. I'm Marcy Jackson, a police officer with Campus Public Safety. I'm honored to represent staff on this occasion of installation of our President, Dr. Shoureshi. Thank you, Dana, Wanda, Rachel, and Chief Tanksley. I bring 23 years of law enforcement experience, and I come from a family with a collective 70 years of law enforcement experience. But I was drawn to PSU in 2012 when my son Jamar was recruited as a wide receiver for the football team. We watched the coach take the individual players, their skills, and motivate them to accomplish their goal of winning. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands at time of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in time of controversy and challenge." We all know that we are in challenging times. And as you said last night, the board, the faculty, the staff, we're here because we're committed to the vision and the goals of PSU. Our roles are intertwined as we bring our individual talents and skills. And as our expertise are motivated forces towards the goal of not only letting our knowledge serve the city, but problem solve within the city. I'm encouraged by your leadership, sir. You've brought to PSU and your commitment to help create solutions for the institution. We welcome the Shoureshi family, and we welcome you, sir, to Portland State University. God bless you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for attending. My name is Brent Finkbeiner, and I am the Associated Student Body President of Portland State University. In just a few short weeks, though, I'll no longer be a student here, but a graduate in business management and human resources. I didn't get to think I'd ever tell you that, to be honest. I thought that my former career, that of a combat medic in the Army, was my last career. I'm proud to say that is not the case. I'm proud to say that I have walked yet another path, one of equally great importance here at PSU. For this is not a journey that I, nor we, have traveled alone. For at the conclusion of World War II, in 1945, our city experienced a wake of returning veterans. This resulted in a demand for a more efficiently trained workforce through greater opportunities in higher education, and hence the Vanport Extension Center was built. Vanport later became Portland State University, growing from the convergence of the World War II GI Bill and continues to grow with the post-9/11 GI Bill today. PSU's first newspaper, known today as the Vanguard, was published by founding editor Don Carlo, a blind military veteran, and on November 16, 1946, under the temporary nameplate Vets Extended, the first article was a front page. It was a story covering the student council elections. The editorial was titled, "The Spirit of a Student Body," and it declared, "We, as students, are helping to start a new idea for colleges. For it is true that there was no school here before. And it is also true that this organization was only started to alleviate the congestion created by the emergency. And though the only romantic thing around here is the cinder path from Portland to Oregon Halls, we do have the proper shift of a university. But even without all the atmospheric attributes, we have within us the insatiable search for knowledge that was born while waiting for the end of the war. Many of us have waited years so that we might have an opportunity to attend such a school. And that statement resonates deeply with me. For today, PSU has significantly increased its services to accommodate all students from a variety of backgrounds all across the globe. And that student spirit is alive and well here. All the while, never forgetting our military-connected community, which speaks to more than 1,500 registered veterans, active duty service members, and dependents on our campus. Together, we are part of a student community that is over 27,000 strong. And on behalf of those students, I welcome Dr. Rahmat as PSU's 9th president, and I'm honored to wish him success as he leads the university into its next generation of educating, empowering, and serving students. Thank you, and congratulations, Dr. Rahmat.
Thanks, Brent. Great job as usual. Next up, I want to introduce our very own Portland State, the award-winning Portland State Chamber Choir. They're going to perform Indo Donna, a South African kosa, arranged by Michael Barrett.
On behalf of the Chamber Choir, we're so honored to be asked to sing this morning. This piece comes from South Africa, and I think a lot of you know in the effort to overthrow apartheid in that country, there was a lot of singing. But this piece is not from that tradition. This piece was written by Michael Barrett, who is currently the choir director at the University of Pretoria. And he sees that even though the laws of South Africa has changed, not all people of all races still treat each other as equals. And the title of this piece, Indo Donna, means together, in the hopes that through singing together, we learn to understand each other and treat each other as equals. So thank you for asking to sing for you today, Dr. Shoureshi.
Oh That was beautiful. I love music that gives me chills. That was wonderful. My name is Kevin McLaughlin, and I only found out a couple of years ago that I was Dr. Shourashi's first student that graduated with a thesis when I was at Purdue. So I just want to give you some perspective. I think that my life, and maybe yours too, is the same. It's kind of a product of two main forces. One is everything that's internal. You know, that's my interests, my curiosities, my personality, my talents. And the other is the external forces. It's the people who looked out for me, who guided me, and showed me what I could become, you know. And then these two forces, they crash, you know, and then out came my life. It's just amazing to me. And here, just a little about me, just for some perspective, just so you know where I came from with Dr. Shoureshi. In my life so far, I got to operate a satellite in space, the Gamma Ray Observatory, from the moment it got released from the space shuttle. I got to sing at Carnegie Hall in the Detroit Symphony's choir, so that's why I love the choir music. I tested cars and drove cars and tracks all around the world, in Korea, Japan, and France, and Germany. I got to be director at 2 different engineering firms, one a US firm and one Korean. And I had patents and publications and everything from automotive safety, satellite operations, thermodynamics, vehicle dynamics. I was a small part of the International Committee, actually, that wrote the present standard for safety critical systems in cars. And I got to put some of the first electric steering systems into production in the US. And none of these things, none of them would have happened without that second force, wherever it came from, that crashed into me and sent me into new directions. You know, and Dr. Shoureshi, he was one of these forces in my life. In high school, I was good at math, maybe like some people, and they said, oh, be an engineer, you know. And I was good at music, and they said, play as much as you can. But my parents, they were children of working class immigrants, and their career views were really narrow, and I didn't have a good idea on the path to achieve these things. But then when I was in college, that changed, and the people that I met, they changed my world. I met Dr. Shoureshi first in 1981. He taught my first course in control theory at Wayne State in Detroit. He was a young professor back then. He was straight out of MIT, first job, right? And after the course, I did projects for him, and he rewarded me. We wrote a paper, and he let me present the work at a conference in 1983, and that took a lot of faith. I gotta tell you, I didn't even have my bachelor's degree yet. He took me to Purdue, and he set me loose in a lab and on my thesis. And he taught me the topic that still is my life's endeavor. It's the study of dynamic systems and how everything moves and interacts together. It was a long time ago. He was a lot younger then, and I suppose so was I. But Dr. Shoureshi, he was that second force, you know. It crashed into me. He showed me worlds that I didn't know existed. He saw that what I could become long before I ever did. And he showed me the path. And by the way, you've talked about this on the side, but he was a fine teacher, maybe my best teacher. He was always clear and concise, a really great tour guide through a complex field. And the thing I remember most, honestly, this is amazing, no matter how mundane a question happened in class, you know, it could have been mundane, redundant, irrelevant, it never mattered. He always got a polite answer. That was what always happened. He was warm and patient with everyone under all circumstances. And it was a behavior, you know, I tried to emulate my whole life, and honestly, you know, I had mixed success. but without Shoureshi, my life, it would have been vastly different, you know. I was not born with great vision. I didn't know what I wanted to be or what I could become, and I needed someone to help me find that path, you know. And perhaps, you know, I'm not very different from many people out there. I needed to be crashed into, to be shown that worlds unknown to me existed, and to understand that I could become part of them. You know, so and honestly, I was open to being crashed into, so, you know, maybe that's one of my skills too. This is amazing coincidence, but when I was about 30 years old, I left my first job, and I told my boss, Joanne McGuire, who these guys know actually, we just found that out, that I felt really lucky to have worked on so many different topics and projects and have had such a complete experience. She looked at me and said this, you know, Kevin, it was not luck. And her whole point, in her subtle way, she was telling me that she had been looking out for me, developing me through all those years. And she was a force in my life. And throughout the years, I've had many such forces. It's great. You know, people that care for me and directed me forward. And I think Shoureshi's ability to see what I could become, it's one of his greatest skills. Maybe it's part of his nature. He sees what people can become, and then he helps them find the path. So I gotta say, thank you for crashing into me, for being my teacher, for sending me off into unforeseen, fantastic directions, and for showing me what I could become in my life. I needed your help back then, and I'm forever grateful. So I think you guys, you're really lucky to have a guy like Dr. Shoureshi as your president. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. If you looked on the program, you'll see it says Commander Michael Regal, U.S. Navy retired. Sorry, guys. They let us in. That was a 20 years ago life that I had. And I got to meet Rahmat about 15 years ago. And one of the things of how everything, your comment about crashing is wonderful. Rahmat and I got together because of a boss I had who was a unique individual who's, every time you came into his office with an idea, would throw you out. Rahmat was one of the leaders of a university that we had talked to and said, hey, we want to improve our engineers and things like that. I was engineering director at Lockheed Martin in Denver, Colorado with the Space Systems Company. I'm a former naval aviator, and they let me be a systems engineer. Again, careers let you do things. We were having difficulty serving our customers, be it NASA, the US government, and we went out to universities and said, your product to your customers, us who were hiring your engineers, wasn't very good. And we talked to all the local schools in Colorado, Colorado School of Mines, University of Boulder, Colorado State, but only the engineering dean at Denver University said, well, maybe we have an idea. And Rahmat, Paul Forsberg, and my boss, Grover Hall, sat down in Grover's office and we talked. And we gave an idea and then he threw us out. And we came with another idea and he threw us out. But we had many times where we were looking to help our employees in addition to help the schools put out a better product. So we had an idea. My employees, current employees, needed to get higher degrees. We needed masters in engineering. We needed PhDs in engineering, in particular systems engineering. And again, force of nature, well, that was Rahmat's specialty at the time, was mechatronic systems engineering. So we partnered up and we came up with the concept where Rahmat, rather than having our employees try to go several different times at night to go to classes in downtown Denver, would come out to our plant. They'd send one professor to teach a class right at the end of work hours. And it started, and I still remember, Paul, you got to guarantee me 10 people. Well, this thing grew like Topsy to where when I retired in 2011, we had over 300 master's or PhD graduates from the Lockheed Martin company. Now, that's not a big deal, I would think, for somebody. But we didn't stop there. We let it grow. Rahmat took it to other companies, the whole concept, the idea. He shared it with everybody else. I had to get this to grow on other of our facilities in the Lockheed Martin Corporation. So we went out to Santa Clara. I remember Rahmat said, well, I'll go with you. I'll talk to my brother engineering dean out there. I think he was always up for an airline trip or something. I never figured that one out. But we got there and we had to wait a while because Dean Mongol had a meeting. So we walked around inside the little mission that St. Father Sarah built out there, Santa Clara Mission. And for you, I remember, for me, I'd never been in a mission, but it was a dirt floor and everything. Oh, kind of interesting. Here we are, we've got this Catholic-based school, going to partner with this school in Denver that's a private school. Well, sure enough, that dean had the same kind of vision that Rahmat did, but didn't have the tools and the example where they set up the same process for my company out there. And even better, because we had people going back and forth between California and Colorado working, these two deans got together and said, we're going to come up with a joint degree. And I'm going, I don't know, what do you mean by that? Again, Rahmat said, wherever they take 51% of their courses, that's where they're going to get a degree. And they agreed to it. I'm going, I was amazed. I'd never seen anything like this. Now, Kevin talked about innovation and excitement and doing things, and I'm going to tell you, one of the things this inauguration came to me is, this is your honeymoon, Rahmat. Okay? And honeymoons are lovely. I've been on a 40-year honeymoon, as has Rahmat and Oz, or at least, But there's also rough roads. Gee, I can't imagine. Yours was always perfect. There was never problems. Like, we talked about the cars breaking down in the middle of highways in Michigan or somewhere. But my point to this is, this honeymoon is going to come to an end, and you're going to run into troubles. You're going to have an idea that may not get accepted. I'm going to ask everybody, and in particular the products of Portland State, to do two things. Number one, think before you speak. Take your time. It's an engineering project. Nothing is urgent. Nothing is urgent. Think about it, go forward, and have a little faith. Azar had faith to leave Iran, come with this man to Boston, and travel all over the country. Just have half of that faith, things will go well for you with Rahmat Shoureshi. And finally, I wanted to talk about this university as a whole, because I told Rahmat, I said, the last time I was in Portland was June of 1972. And the fine city of Portland let me drink illegally for the first time in my life. Thank you very much. I was here on one of the ships at the Rose Festival. I was just finished my freshman year at college at a small little school in the Midwest called the University of Nebraska. We play a little football there. But I went, oh, and we went to the old spaghetti factory for dinner. But anyhow, is it still here? Oh, they had this nice dark beer. Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that you make a path, people will come back, run into you. Again, have Kevin tell me about Joanne McGuire. She was my boss when I retired, the president of Lockheed Martin Space Systems. His boss out at, was it TRW? TRW then. What I'm asking you and telling the people here is you did it good. Rick had made that comment last night. You have the right person in the job. They asked me as a reference, tell us what's the most remarkable thing, sticks in your mind about Rahmat Shoureshi. And I said, I've known him for so long, and I've never, ever heard him speak angrily to someone. That's not to say he didn't go, not so good, or had to give somebody a failing grade. He can do that. My point is, it's respect. And I would ask you, to the board, to the faculty, to the staff, and to the students, please, please show 1/10 of the respect to him that he will show you every day he's here. You are blessed. You couldn't have picked a better person. Congratulations, Rahmat.
Thank you, Michael. Dr. Shoureshi, you ready? Come on up. Now, I got to read some stuff here for you. Now, I'm going to put this medallion on you when I'm done. If the roles were reversed, we'd have a little problem. Okay. So here we go. The president of Portland State University is delegated full authority and responsibility to administer the affairs of this institution in accordance with board policies. To that end, I, Rick Miller, on this 4th day of May 2018, acting on behalf of the PSU Board of Trustees and the faculty, staff, and students, do hereby install as 9th President of Portland State University, Dr. Rahmat Shoureshi, investing in him all the authority and rights pertaining thereto. President Shoureshi, as the symbol of the authority of your position as President of Portland State University, I give you this medal and the authority and responsibilities that go with it. Ladies and gentlemen, all right. You beat me to it, but congratulations and thanks for becoming our 9th president, Dr. Shoureshi. We're very lucky. Thank you.
Good morning. It's a good thing it's not too heavy. Chairman Miller, Vice Chairwoman Gail Castillo, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, and students. Thank you for trusting me to lead Portland State University. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished guests who have traveled from China, Paris, Boston, New York, Detroit, Colorado, and Phoenix. I'm also honored that we have 3 of the other universities in Oregon represented here by their president, and I'm grateful for you folks to be here. It has been my pleasure to meet and work with so many of you over the last 8 months. And I look forward to continuing to meet new colleagues and friends within the PSU community. And it will be my pleasure to welcome future members into our PSU family who will be bringing an enthusiasm to join, build, and enjoy a unique PSU environment of inquiry, discovery, and innovation. And given the weather this past winter, it doesn't look like they need to bring an umbrella. I'm the first in my family to attend college. I mentioned that up front because I want to focus my remarks today on our students. Many of them are also the first in their families to attend college. If you are or you were the first in your family to attend college, please raise your hand. Thank you for being here. I applaud you for your achievement. You took the same risk that I did. You know the courage and sacrifice it takes to pursue an education. You understand its rewards: a satisfying career, engagement with your community, a comfortable life for your family, loved ones, and children. Today, I share this honor with all of you. You know, education is the surest pathway to personal change. Research shows that those with a college degree earn on average $1 million more over their lives than those without it. Economically, intellectually, and personally, a college education is truly transformational. That was certainly the case for me. As I can see, it was for many of you. I came to PSU because I wanted to lead a university that opened the door to opportunity for all. Students such as Marwa Al-Khamis, who was born in Iraq and came to US as a refugee. It was Marwa and 2 other PSU students who showed me around campus on my first day at PSU. Meeting her and so many other remarkable students in the days since has convinced me that Portland State is ready to face the many challenges the future holds for higher education. So what does that future hold? Well, to be honest with you, I see robots. Lots of robots. I know what could be more inspiring than listening to a mechanical engineer tell you that robots are about to take over. In all seriousness, as computers get faster and faster, we are approaching the point they will actually be able to learn from data, not people. In his book, Robot Proof, Joseph Aoun writes about higher education in the age of artificial intelligence. He describes a future where many of today's jobs are obsolete. He notes that nearly half of US jobs are at the risk of automation within the next 20 years. 65% of children entering grade school today will eventually work in the jobs that do not yet exist. What an opportunity for adventure. Be assured that we will shape the future. We will craft it through innovation, entrepreneurship, empathy, and the astonishing creative power of the human mind. Think of the beautiful music we heard today. Robots cannot compose it or sing it with the nuance and emotion of a human. Robots cannot be creative. As an aside, I might mention that I saw a list of jobs that will be most important in the future. And guess what? Storyteller was near the top of that list. To all our English Lit majors, we are counting on you. In his book, Dr. Ayan concluded that a robot-proof education must prepare creators, not laborers. This is higher education challenge to inspire creators. I see creativity in a broad context in terms of opportunities for imagination, new perspective, and innovation in humanities, pedagogy, the arts, business, health, and social sciences, as well as science and engineering. At PSU, we serve many types of learners across all disciplines. Today, I want to talk about just two of those students, two groups of them, Generation Z and adult learners, or as I think of them, creators and recreators. Each group comes to us with its own challenges, but I believe that PSU already has systems in place to help them succeed. And I believe that continuing investment in strategic areas will make our urban research university a model for the kind of experiential and collaborative education that will transform the world. Let's talk about Z generation. These students were born between 1995 and 2012. There are 2.5 billion of them worldwide. Some people call this the 9/11 generation. Jamie Kassab, a futurist at Google, calls them the cloud generation, but not because their heads are in the cloud. Generation Z are digital natives. Nearly all of them come to college already using laptops, smartphones, and tablets. They have never known a world without terrorism. They lived through the Great Recession, and they worry about finding jobs. They are entrepreneurial. 75% want to work for themselves, and they want to save the world. Look at the marches against gun violence they organized in cities across the US. This is a generation unlike any we have ever seen. Luckily, the vast majority of Generation Z still believes in college education. They crave experiences in classroom, in labs, in studios, at work, and abroad. They seek out opportunities to collaborate, to lead, and to solve complex problems. They expect college to have outcomes. I met one of these students this year when I visited with members of the Portland State Aerospace Society. Marie House and her friends like to build and launch rockets. I mean real rockets. They are building a satellite with NASA that will become the first from Oregon to go into orbit. How exciting is that? Keeping in mind, they are undergraduate students at Portland State. Marie is a junior at the Massey College of Engineering and Computer Science and a mechanical engineer. I swear, I'm not singling her out because we are both mechanical engineers. Okay, I kind of am. But really, I'm telling you about Marie because she's a creator like so many of her generation. She was pursued experiences and projects. She has interned at 2 engineering firms. She has built rockets. Marie knows these opportunities will set her apart when she looks for a job or when she launches her own company. If I have learned anything about PSU over the last 8 months, it is this. This university is full of creators, designers, artists, mathematicians, writers, planners, researchers, scientists, builders, you name it. At PSU, we have the best, and we learn and teach by doing. It gives us an edge. Now let's talk about another type of students, the adult learner. There are nearly 100 million adult learners nationwide. The average age of the PSU student is 27, and 1 in 4 of our students is a parent. Sometimes these students are called post-traditional learners or working learners, but I call them recreators because they are bold enough to reimagine their lives, and I'm proud of them. Recreators come to campus with significant life experience. They may be seeking new skills, new careers, or new possibilities. Many have previously attended college without earning a degree. Let me tell you about one of them. In 2010, Marine Corps veteran Grant Marquardt was working as a security contractor in Afghanistan. One day, he was running on a treadmill when he noticed spots in his vision. His throat felt sore. Grant figured he was getting cold, but his co-workers insisted he see a doctor at the US Embassy. He woke up later in a German hospital with a titanium valve in his heart. He had suffered from a heart defect he did not even know about it. It took Grant months to recover. He was only 30 years old, and his life had changed forever. He had to learn to live with the sound of a ticking valve and figure out what he wanted to do, what he could do next. He chose PSU. Grant's first attempt at college at age 18 had ended after just a few weeks. He was nervous to return. Maybe he couldn't cut it. Maybe he had forgotten how to be a college student. He ended up in the first-year chemistry class of Dr. Marilyn Makowitz. She held weekly study sessions, and Grant attended all of them. At the end of the term, she invited him to work in her lab studying nanoparticles. Grant conducted research with Dr. Mack for 5 years, earning a bachelor's degree. Grant is now a 38-year-old, first-year medical student at OHSU. He is studying to become a surgeon like the one who put his heart back together. Grant, we are proud of you. What made the difference for Grant and Marie? Committed faculty and staff, experiences, projects, undergraduate research, and extended internships. A hands-on education made the difference. PSU has already established the foundation for future of higher education. Now we must build on that and invest in it. Our signature undergraduate experience came into the world roughly the same time Generation Z did. University Studies integrates writing and math into a 4-year pathway tailored to a student's interests. Students pick a complex theme such as sustainability, immigration, and study it from multiple perspectives. This culminates in a project that addresses a practical challenge in our community. University Studies builds divergent thinkers who can step outside their field of interest and practice skills from a mix of disciplines. It is one of the reasons why PSU has been selected as one of the 10 most innovative universities in our country. And again, I'm proud of them. As we can imagine, we can improve on it by expanding cross-disciplinary collaboration that solves real-world problems with research-based ideas. Existing research centers, such as the Center for Life in Extreme Environments and the Transportation Research and Education Center, give us a template for discovery and success. Our NIH-funded program to diversify the ranks of biomedical professionals has provided mentoring and undergraduate research experiences to first-generation college students and students of color. Overwhelmingly, these connections help students stay engaged and on track to graduate. This is the kind of approach we should invest in. PSU is located in the epicenter of the Oregon economy. By partnership with business and industry, we can offer students more experiential learning opportunities. We can educate a workforce in sync with the region's needs. We can provide every learner with the relevant credentials and meaningful careers. Let me leave you with one last story. When she was 7 years old, a teacher asked Anna, this is Anna Castillon, what she wanted to be when she grew up. Anna told her she wanted to be a waitress. That's what people she knew wanted, and she knew they did 6 days a week for living. She had not seen anybody else. Anna also found her way to PSU. She was the first person in her family to leave home. The first year was one of the hardest parts of Anna's life. She was lonely and unsure of herself. The roof of her apartment leaked. Her financial aid was late. She had to sell her laptop for grocery money. And then something amazing happened. She earned a scholarship at PSU. And the fact that other people believed in her gave her the confidence to continue. She ventured out and soon found a community at the School of Gender, Race, and Nations. Anna will graduate this spring with a degree in political science. This fall, she will begin pursuing a master's degree in educational leadership and policy here at Portland State. Congratulations, Anna. We are proud of you. Marie, Grant, and Anna have something in common. They took risks. They overcame obstacles. They seized opportunity. They never gave up. And at a crucial moment, each of them found a champion at PSU, a faculty or a staff member whose extraordinary expertise shaped their knowledge, whose passion inspired their dreams, whose guidance made possible their bright future, who believed in them before they believed in themselves. Our students also have champions they have never met, donors who are moved by our students' stories, entrepreneurs and community leaders who value their can-do spirit, legislators who know Oregon's future is in their hands. Today, I cannot help but think of all of the people who championed me on my journey, who shaped my future, who believed in me. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize and thank my best friend in life, my wife of 43 years, Azar. She has supported me through this journey. She has sacrificed. And my son and my daughter for making me and my wife proud of their achievements. I'm proud of you. Thank you. I want to thank the Board of Trustees for being such a true partner and supporter of me and PSU. I thank them for standing alongside me, and I thank you for standing with me and the students of Portland State University. Technology will change civilization, but you need only look around this room to know that our essential humanity will always endure. Let knowledge serve the city. Let knowledge serve the humanity. I want to again thank the PSU and Portland community for the warm welcome you have extended to me and my family, and for making this day meaningful and memorable for me. I look forward to working together with all of you to build an exciting future for Portland State University. Thank you. Appreciate it.
we have a very exciting future with our new president. Thank you again, Dr. Shoureshi. All right, so this concludes the program for today. Two things. Feel free to join us for lunch, an informal lunch, up on the concourse upstairs. Thanks for being here, and also thank you for all the people that worked very hard to make today a reality. Before we end, I'd ask you to stand for the retiring of the colors.